Today we're going to do an unboxing of an Abyss AB1266 headphone. What you're seeing here is what we call the standard version. It comes in a kind of just standard printed cardboard box. It's got our logo on it and it says Abyss. And let's get right to opening it up, show you what's inside. So we'll just take a sharp blade here and get through this heavy-duty shipping tape of ours and show you what we got. So inside, the carton's like printed inside. Might be hard to tell in the video, but the whole interior is full color, kind of like a, what do you call it, psychedelic print. And inside the box is another box with a headphone that says Abyss. And we'll just take this and kind of dump it upside down on itself. In the box, we have a piece of foam at the bottom, the case, obviously, a black shiny glossy case, magnetic box, and the cable set. And the cable set, normally the standard's like an 8-foot, 2.4 meter. Most people order the 4-pin because just about all desktop amps use 4-pin nowadays, and you're pretty much going to be using the AB1266 with a desktop amp for the most part. And it also comes with a 1/4-inch adapter, so we'll get back to the cable in a minute. To the headphone. So the headphone's in a magnetic box, and we'll open that up. And inside you'll see another Abyss logo in a bag. So we'll pull that out here. Take that out, set that up, move the box off to the side. Also inside the box, besides this, is an instruction, quick start instruction guide. It just shows how to hook the cables up and stuff. And on the back side is references, where to go to the website for more information. And also inside is a guitar pick with the Abyss logo on it. And this guitar pick is actually used for future use. If you ever needed to replace or change the stretch rings on the headband, this is an easy way to loosen the screws. It's a cute little thing. But if you play guitar, it's a good pick. So the headphone comes wrapped in plastic, real nice like. We'll take the tape off here and open up the bag, remove the headphone from the plastic, set that off here. And then this is like a velvet bag with an embroidered Abyss logo on it. And nice bag. Take that off. You can use this for storing the headphone or covering it. A lot of people like to cover it to keep dust and dirt off it, or when it's not in use, or just keep it out of sight. For shipping, there's foam pieces in here that protect the headphone. They're split in half. Inside each foam piece is an ear pad. So there's an ear pad in one side, and there's an ear pad in another side. So we'll remove the headphone from the foam. And there's little bags covering each side. They'll just drop away. And you have the AB1266. With the AB1266, there is an option to get a complete version. And what the complete version is it comes with the JPS Labs superconductor upgraded cable set, which is a handmade cable, upgrades both the feel and the sonic qualities of the cable relative to the headphone. You also get the heavy leather man bag, which I'll show you in a minute. It comes in a wood box. And inside the box is the headphone comes out in a leather bag or a leather carry case, very heavy leather man bag. And otherwise, it's exactly the same headphone. It's just all the accessories are different. So you've got a really nice laser embroidered leather man bag that made to carry the 1266. It's a magnetic clasp. And to open it up, and when you take it out the package, the headphone will basically, the headphone's sitting in the bag in foam. So the easiest thing to do is just carefully slide the headphone out. The foam might come with you, it might not. If it doesn't, that's fine. The headphone will pull out, but that exposes the headphone in the shipping foam. You don't need to use the shipping foam for carrying the headphone around. You can just put it in the bag. The bag we had custom made for the headphone, there's no sharp objects or anything inside the bag to hurt it. So, but setup would be very similar. What we'll go through with the 1266, all 1266s, where it comes out of the foam, remove the sides, and we'll go from here and cut back to the standard setup. So we'll start with the ear pads. Each one comes out of the foam. There's no left or right to the ear pads. They are identical. So they come sealed plastic. So we'll need, let's find my knife here. Don't cut the ear pad. Don't do this at home. I suggest just tearing the plastic with your hands. But in fact, I'll do that just for proper reference. Probably keep sharp objects away from the lambskin ear pads. It's probably not a good idea. All right, so inside, notice that these ear pads are beveled. They actually have a shape to it, and they're pretty different from one side to the other. There's also a stitch on one part of the ear pad, which is also the shortest part of the ear pad. So pay attention to that. They're both pretty much identical. I mean, they're going to vary slightly in appearance because it's a cut foam shape, but for the most part, they should be pretty similar, left-right ear pads, or one ear pad versus the other. Again, they'll both have the stitch mark. They're made to fit a human head, and so the idea is to make it do that as well as possible. So the way we normally recommend setting this 1266 up for the first time is you're going to take the stitch, or the minimal portion, and if you're looking at the face of one side, put it around the 11 o'clock mark or so. So like around here, the stitch. So basically that places the thickest portion of the ear pad down behind the bottom of your ear, and the thinnest, obviously, direct opposite. Now, keep in mind that these ear pads have, I think, around 15 positions you could lock them into. But if you look at the ear pad, you'll see that there's notches in it. Each one of those notches corresponds to a different snap-in position on the headphone. The headphone itself has 6 screws here, and these notches fit onto the screws. So you can rotate these ear pads to wear the headphone any way you want, whatever's comfortable for you. And the thing about a 1266 that's unique from any other headphone on the planet is that it's designed to not clamp. You don't want it clamped. In fact, what you want to do is set up the 1266 so that it's just barely touching your head. And don't worry, it'll put out bass. It's designed to actually, its tuning and dampening of the driver is designed to push more air when need be, so it'll fill in the gaps. You just need an amplifier that'll put enough power out to do that. So right now, let's just install the ear pad. So we've got this around, looking at it around face of the speaker around 11 o'clock. Oh, and I should note, too, that these slots, the slots in the speaker drivers, all right, inside is a very fine screen or mesh. Never, ever, 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 ever get anything inside the slots. The mesh is very fine and fragile, and once it's damaged permanently. You can't just replace that part. So you got to replace the whole speaker. So avoid touching or getting anything in these slots. And the ear pads do not have any additional screening or anything for sound quality. We just want the sound to emanate right out of the driver, right to your ear, to maximize resolution. So ear pads have no further protection other than, keeping things away. So also keep in mind these planar magnetic headphones, or any headphone in general, have strong magnets in them. So you want to avoid having any metallic objects near these things. That includes iron filings. If you're drilling steel, don't get your earphones near it. Magnets will attract the dust, the dirt, anything that's metallic. So you want to avoid getting these in a dirty area, and also obviously just keep any kind of metallic tools away. Don't open them. There's nothing inside to see. If you open them, you have a 95% success rate of damaging the driver permanently. These things have an affinity for metal and tools, so you don't want to get near with a screwdriver. You have to be highly trained and have the right tools for the job. So don't open your 1266s or any planar magnetic headphone. You're just asking for trouble. All right. So that being said, I should probably mention too that if you notice, there is a left-right side to these. It is labeled up here. So if you look just under the headband, there's an L and an R. And the other way to tell direction, or forward back, is the way the cable comes off, or the way the cable connector comes off, is at an angle and on the side. So you see how the cable drapes forward, and that is a forward direction. So this angle is going to face to the front of your body. So as you wear these, let me put this other ear pad on. Basically, what you want is the stitch marks should line up with one another from left to right. So putting this on my head is a different issue altogether here. So we'll go with this. All right, now I got it on my head. And what you should have when you ultimately do this is you should have the thicker portion in the back behind your lower ears and the thinner portion up here. And the seam is around the temple area. So the seam or the thinnest portion is over here. All right. So we'll get to adjusting these on your head later because they are kind of tricky. And we have more intensive videos available, which we'll link to on basic adjustments and experienced adjusting on this 1266. So you could take it to any level you want with it, and we'll explain that later. So anyway, now that we got the ear pads on, let's go to the cable. So we've got our stock cable here, which is an 8-foot, 2.4-meter cable with a 4-pin connector. And also in the bag is an adapter, which is it's a 4-pin flexible adapter that goes from a 4-pin to a 1/4 inch. So out of the box with a standard version, this headphone's ready for both a 4-pin and 1/4 inch. So we tend to see the 4-pin on almost all desktop amps nowadays. The 1/4 inch you see mainly with tube. Most of them tend to be single-ended designs, so you see the tube amps still use a lot of the 1/4 inch connectors. So if you ever plan on experimenting with amplifiers, we give you both connectors to be able to do it. So connecting the headphone. The headphone end of this cable has a red ring and a black ring. And the easy way to remember, right and red both start with R. If you get them wrong, the piano's on the wrong side. You know, it's the way it goes. But bottom line is that the red ring is right and the black ring is left. So red right and whatever's left is left. Some people have white rings for left. Some connectors, RCA, XLR, interconnects use white, black interchangeably. But typically red's always right. So red, RR. So we look for the right here symbol, which is this side of the headphone. We also know that the right drapes forward and away from to the front of me. So there's a little button on each of these. These are called mini XLR connectors. They have 3 holes in them. They're made for 3-pin jacks. And there's a little button on here that's made to release it. And the black button will always face away from the headphone. So it'll face to the side. So you want to align the black button so it's facing this side or out. And you'll find that there's a keyway or a notchway. This will only go in one way. So if you don't have that black button there, it's just going to kind of go and look at you like you're doing something wrong. And all of a sudden, when that black button faces up, then it goes in. You just give it a push, it snaps. To remove it, it does have a latch that locks it into the jack. So to remove it, you just push that little black button down. And you just kind of wiggle and pull, and it comes out. So once these are in, they're in. So that's the right side with the red band. We'll do the same thing with the left side and the left band. The button faces outward. We get it lined up in there. You feel it in the notchway, and you just kind of gently push till it clicks, and it's in. So that's it for hooking up the cable. On the top of this is like a circular screw, and that's where both left and right sides meet. You'll find that if you take this and wiggle and pull it all the way out, it has it's about a 3/4 inch adjustment range, but basically this allows you to adjust the width of the headphone, open or close. So, and it'll for the most part hold that position. So all the way in, and then you pull all the way out, and that's maximum width. So what this means for your head is, what I would suggest to do is, first thing is pull it all the way out, put it on your head. So now you got max width. Now, keep in mind, when you pull this all the way out, this leather band that holds it on your head is also fully tensioned, so it raises the height of the headphone. And this is kind of the way that you'll find a middle ground between height of the headphone versus, clamping pressure and how close it is to your head. Also, as a close-up, I'll show you something else. If you look at the top of the head, this headphone can toe in and toe out. So you can actually adjust the sound stage for more frontal or more of a frontal approach or back, depending on what you like. Because this headphone is designed to be very speaker-like in performance, and it's like listening to a big 2-channel system in a room. we decided to give you some of the features that speakers would offer, like adjusting the placement of the speaker relative to your head. And, you know, acoustic perspective is obviously with a headphone, it's close. But these headphones will throw space all the way out infinitely, just like if you're in a room. And you'll hear the boundaries in the recording. If they're there and they exist in recording, you have good enough gear, you'll be able to pick all that out. So that being said, this is the only headphone on the planet that gives you this range of adjustability where you could toe in, toe out, adjust the damping of the driver relative to your ear, which basically is adjusting the bass performance. And again, that's going to set up a whole different set of parameters, which we'll get into in another video. But you can change the way you like to hear bass. You could change the way this thing does bass relative to the amplification you use on. There's a lot of variables that you could do to make this thing your own and fit your tastes and what you like to listen to. So, you know, you hear people, I mean, I love classic rock. These things will play that. You know, people love classical. These things will play it. Jazz, blues, it'll play it. And you could adjust the acoustic perspective by adjusting the headphone relative to the recording. You know, so if you want to bring your, you know, the horn section a little closer to you, you can move the headphone forward or back. So anyway, we'll get into that with a different video, but I'm just saying there's a lot of variables. So for now, the basic setup is, I'd say pull it all the way out so it's wide, all right? Put it on your head, see how it feels. Now, what I would do next is toe it in and out a little bit to get a more of an even or equal type spacing all the way around, you know? So that there's basically, the way you do that is you don't notice any real hot spots or anywhere or anything. You know, it's not like, if it's pushing a little more here, move it back a little bit and see if that disappears. So you're adjusting basically for fitment right now. As you wear the ear pads in, you use them a little bit, they get a little softer, they start to fit your head. All right, over time, now you start to learn the intricacies of what you can really do with these bad boys. You'll get to a point where you'll get to a track and you'll just flip them around your head a little bit and they'll roll back a little bit, which moves the center of your ear more forward, and you could bring vocalists a little closer to you or further back if you go the other way. And same with drums and other instruments within the sound stage. You can actually change their acoustic perspective just by moving about the headphone. So it's kind of neat. Or you can just put it where you always like it. It depends. So it will teach you more about your music and what you're listening to. And more importantly, though, it's a headphone that lets you focus in on what you're interested in within that musical landscape, which is really cool. You're not stuck with one spot with the band. You could be behind the band, in front of the band, with the band. So it's kind of neat to be able to adjust that. So anyway, look for other videos on adjusting the 1266. For now, you're set up and ready to go. Plug and play. We're done. Thank you. Take care.